Black Clover is back, and we are starting out where we left off, with Asta getting bodied. So yeah, he falls and crashes onto the roof of a building, where he's just puking blood at this point, and he says, "I'm not done," like he always does. Very Asta, but he's done. He can't even move. He's done. He's struggling, he's fighting, he wants to keep going, but he cannot. Lucious one-shotted him, and that was that. Lucious even mocks him for being as stubborn as he is. You should just basically telling him to relax and just wait a minute. He'll be dead in a few minutes anyway. He shouldn't have to struggle all the way at the end, which is kind of the most condescending thing you can say to a man. Like, no need to keep fighting, no need to struggle. Just die. You've already lost. Just let it happen. So that's when Noelle, Mimosa, and Nero pop in to save Asta. Obviously, Sister Lily gets in the way of Lucious, protecting him, and Noelle fires off her Sea Dragon's roar. But then Sister Lily uses spatial magic and completely stops the attack. Noelle then says, "But you're Asta's," and she actually says that again later on. So this is actually very significant. Like, she's the one that Asta loves, and Noelle, who loves Asta, can't understand why this would happen, why she would do this. Obviously, Sister Lily's being controlled, but the point is, this is clearly breaking Noelle's heart to see this happen. See the person that Asta loves basically go against him. Now, about her being able to just, use spatial magic and then blip out and attack from existence. Yeah, so that was Beelzebub's power. Earlier, when this arc first started, we get to see Lucius, basically the aftermath of him summoning the other half of Lucifero and just bodying him and eating his heart and purifying him. He says he did it to his own devil, and he clearly did it to Lucifero. But apparently, he summoned all the Supreme Devils, purified all of them, and took all their powers. He's now able to give their power, their purified power, onto a human to make them more evolved. Which means there is actually a limited number of angels he can actually create. By the way, he doesn't call them angels, he calls them paladins, which makes perfect sense. A paladin is someone who is on a holy crusade, who uses magic. So yeah, no, that makes sense. So yeah, that he's basically on his holy crusade, and so he needs a bunch of paladins. Not a bunch of magic knights, but paladins. But yeah, he can have as many as the Supreme Devils he has, which makes me wonder, did a Dramalak get purified and eaten, and now he's going to have his power passed on? Or was he just purified and became a paladin himself? Because he was with Lucius, he was working for him. So did he voluntarily let himself get killed? Or is he the kind of guy who's, like before, he likes to be a spectator? I'm kind of confused on that one. Because I can't imagine Lucius would just let a Dramalak go, because he's trying to make his perfect world, and he wants to purify devils and just give their power to other humans to make the perfect being, his paladins. Either he did that to a Dramalak, he either ate him, or he basically purified him without having to kill him. What I think is really weird is because he specifically said he took the Supreme Devils, he purified them, which means he definitely has a roughly 10 or so, depending on if the ones that got killed, he's able to take their power, and I doubt it, they're dead. So he's got about 10 he can probably use, so that means he's basically chose Sister Lily just to spite Asta, because I can't imagine there's a specific reason he would pick her other than to fuck with Asta, a person he planned on killing and getting rid of anyway. So I don't even see the point of that. So I don't really understand his choosing method of people who should become his paladins. He has to have some kind of theory. Either that, or he's just using his vision to look into the future and determining based on whatever the future says he should do. Either way, he plans on using his paladins to take over the world, make it a perfect order where he becomes the greatest wizard king, basically the god emperor of the world. Yeah, Mimosa doesn't really care about any of that. She tries to rush over to save Asta, to heal him, but Sister Lily, obviously, now that she has spatial magic, she just teleports next to him, and she basically entraps all three, Mimosa, Noelle, and Nero, in a spatial cube where basically all space is severed. So when Noelle tries to use her magic, it just splits apart into pieces because, well, you cannot move in this space, not even magic. And Sister Lily, of course, then thanks Lucius for granting her this power. She then tells the girls that Lucius is righteous and they will understand soon enough, and basically turns to kill Asta because, well, he needs to be eradicated for the perfect world. And Asta basically says, "I'm going to save you." Well, he's trying to say that to Sister Lily, but she activates her power before he could finish his sentence, and he's just gone. Now, there's all kinds of special magic, ones that teleport you, one that vaporize you, and others that send you to a pocket dimension. I don't know which one happened to Asta, but it's implied that this was the vaporized kind. I doubt it. He does cover himself in anti-magic, even at this point. Even though he's been knocked out of his devil form, he still has anti-magic on him. It's usually flowing through him at all times, because his devil is separate from him, so even if Asta's beat down, he still has his brother to save his ass, so my assumption is he probably was just teleported away. Combined with the fact that there has to be still a piece of Sister Lily that doesn't want to kill Asta. But that doesn't change the fact that the girls just saw Asta get blanked out of existence, so they are all just devastated and freaking out. Like, Mimosa's on the verge of tears, Noelle is calling out his name. Usually Nero has a very straight face, but right now, the absolute fear that is in her eyes at the moment is pretty intense. Lucius then says that in 7 days the crusade will start, and that this will be the beginning of creating a world without strife. But all of you are still going to fight against me, aren't you, ladies and gentlemen? And that's when you see all the captains charging towards them. Yeah, they're a little late, if I say so myself. I mean, he just he just bodied Asta and basically had him go vaporized in the time it took you guys to get here. Like, you're a bunch of captains. As soon as you heard the first explosion, you should have been rushing there. And I guess it is what it is. Lucius basically says his goodbyes, and he's teleported away. And funny thing is that the way the teleporter works is that it's basically cuffs you in like a cross-shaped space thing that slowly closes in and absorbs whatever it's teleporting. You actually get to see Lucius's face looking out of the spatial magic, staring at them, basically mocking them as he teleports away. Like, that is basically the most common like way for a villain to be a dick. Basically, just give you one last glance before it leaves. So yeah, there's been a lot of talk online that Lucius is basically Aizen, like this is Aizen 2.0. Not at all. Like, thing about Aizen is that Aizen, what he wanted to be the perfect being. First off, that's irrelevant. It has nothing to do with the current plan of the Wizard King, of Lucius. No, the difference is that the major difference is that we didn't actually get to know Aizen very well. We just saw him as the guy who smiled a lot, and then he died, but he wasn't actually dead, and all that. We actually got to know Julius. We got to experience his life, his death, his reincarnation, everything. We we spent all this time with the man. And then it turns out that he was the man pulling the strings all along because he has two separate souls in his body. He's two men in one form. I mean, don't get me wrong, everyone loves Aizen and his indestructible chair, but let's be honest, this is probably one of the coolest villains in Shonen. Lucius is, right now, fucking amazing. And hopefully, if it continues as is, he will be probably the best villain for the last, like, 5 years in Shonen. You know, the best part about this chapter, it finally explained why Lucius took as long as he did and why everything went the way it did. Because he wanted to get his hands on all of the Supreme Devil's powers, and he wanted to purify all of them so he could create his paladins. He literally had to wait until the Tree of Cleoth was opened, which meant he had to use his own siblings as basically pawns and sacrifices, because as he could see into the future, he knew all of this was going to happen. He knew that they were all going to open the tree, they're all going to lose, Zafuro was going to get loose, he was going to get bodied by Asta, and then he was going to be able to keep doing what he did, point where he was then able to collect all of his, basically Pokemon, let's just call him that. He got to catch them all. He was required for all of his siblings to do what they did so he could accomplish his ultimate goal. Not just that, but he also had to create the Tree of Cleoth in the first place, which also required him recruiting Yami and Julius, the two people who were required to make the tree, and then basically make sure that they were strong enough and good enough to be ready for the moment. And finally, the final piece is Asta's existence. He clearly saw into the future. He saw Asta, he saw anti-magic, and he understood that that was the one thing that needed to be eradicated. All these pieces, he had just to wait for them all to come into existence, so then he could take advantage of the situation and accomplish his ultimate goal. He needed to use his siblings, he needed to use Yami and Vangelis, and he sure as hell also needed Asta around so he can get rid of them. Like, the patience this man has to wait this long to finally do what basically had to be done for him to become the greatest Wizard King. You really gotta respect it, like his patience, his dedication, and his ability to basically manipulate the situation to the point where it all worked out for him. But again, he could see the future, so of course he was able to manipulate the situation. But still, damn, like, Lucius is amazing right now. I really do like him. I hope he continues on like this. I hope he continues to be this amazing, badass character that he is. But yeah, that's all I have to say for now. If you enjoyed this, please subscribe, give a thumbs up so you can enjoy more Black Clover and other anime things. Thank you, and have a great day.